So in Diablo 2 Resurrected, you see people farm a lot of the same areas. Ancient tunnels, maybe, if you want to get out there and farm those high-level uniques. They go over to the Countess, get those runes. You see a lot of cows. You see a lot of Cast Sanctuary. You see a lot of Bale runs, taking out the Bale waves to get all that experience. But there's certain areas you never see people run, and even if they're terrorized, people steer clear of them almost always. You'd literally have to be a lunatic to farm these areas. Now, if you could help me out, make sure you hit the like button on the video. It helps get it out to more people. And as a reward for doing such thing, I'm going to go ahead and show you a picture of this cute little puppy. Oh, look how cute he is. I mean, everybody loves a puppy, right? Now, for the first area on this list, it's actually all the way in Act 3. Because let's be honest, Act 1, almost all the monsters are incredibly easy. They're weak, they're slow, they generally don't do a lot of damage. You could make an argument for different areas that have archers, but unless you get caught, you can usually see them. You can dodge the arrows as they're coming in, and just go ahead and kind of survive perfectly fine. Except you don't want to do that right there. Also, as for Act 2, there's not too much to worry about. There's nothing that's too scary. The scariest thing you can come across is if you're a Fist of the Heavens paladin, you have to try to make your way through the maggot layer, and you don't have teleport. But for the first one of several that are in Act 3, we're going to actually talk about the Swampy Pits. This area is so garbo, it actually became a running joke on my channel. Sometimes people will go ahead and say, hey, if you fail at this, you got to go out and do runs of the Swampy Pits, or begging Blizzard to go ahead and make this an amazing new terror zone. Now, once you're there, how great are the monsters? Well, it has two of the absolute most annoying, worst monster types there are in the game. First one we'll talk about is one that's really annoying, specifically for melee characters, but of course, casters as well, and that is what usually people refer to as dolls. The problem with these monsters is when you're up close and personal to them, when you take them out, their bodies explode, they have an on-death amount of damage, and boy, do they just chop your life right out. Now, hypothetically, you're a caster, you get right up in a pack of these and you shoot a fireball, you blast down 2 or 3 or 4 of them, your character's pretty much over. Now, you can kind of eliminate this if you notice they're there, go ahead and get your mercenary near it, and then you back up, because your mercenary, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to take nearly as much damage as your actual character does when these things explode. Now, down here, you can get another one of the absolute worst monster types that there are in this game. And this is, depending on the area, but I believe down here they're actually called glomes. Now, these things deal lightning damage, and the range is kind of huge. So that means it could be real low or real high. And if you get zapped by like 5, 10 of these things, well, just by law of averages, one of them is probably going to be super crazy, incredibly high. So if you don't have really crazy, amazing lightning res, maybe even lightning absorb, you're pretty much going to get nuked. The champions along with that could perhaps hit you with a conviction aura as well, just taking you to the effing cleaners. There really is no redeeming quality down here to farming the Swampy Pits. Now, the Swampy Pits you can avoid on a playthrough. You just don't even really have to go down there. But the next one, you can't always, and that is actually going through the Great Marsh. On an actual playthrough, you might be running out, and all of a sudden you see that lightning flying, and pretty much at that point, you just got to go ahead and reset, come back in, and hopefully you don't get that monster type in the Great Marsh if you do have to go through it. But man, there is not really any reason to come out and farm this area, because it has one of those monster types that I mentioned in the Swampy Pits. You get it out here, and there's a ton of them, and that's once again these glomes. Most people are well aware of how damaging these things are to your character's existence. The good thing about these glomes, I suppose, is they're kind of considered these ghost-type monsters, so they actually do have a higher rune drop chance. But in my opinion, that does not outweigh the fact that they're probably going to absolutely nuke your character. So that's why I will tell you to steer clear of the Great Marsh. Next up is another one in Act 3. Yeah, Act 3 is one of my most hated areas, and these are some of the reasons why, these particular areas. And this one is actually the Durance of Hate. Now, I'm not talking about once you get to the bottom, you're taking out Mephisto, you're just teleporting to the bottom with your sorceress, moat tricking. That's incredibly easy. You're going to be perfectly fine with that. But on a playthrough, or let's say you're actually going to try and farm that area that is terrorized when it is the Durance of Hate, this is when you may have a very bad time. Now, one of those 2 monster types I already talked about in the previous 2 areas can be down here, and this time it's not the glomes like in the Great Marsh, but you're actually getting those dolls. Of course, this is the exact same reason as when we were down in the Swampy Pits. If you get right up on those things and they explode, let's say there's a couple of them, they can really just take your character out like that. Now, when terrorized, it could always change things up, of course, but under normal circumstances, this isn't an 85 area or anything like that. You can't find all of the uniques in the entire game. Now, it is a pretty large area, so you don't have to keep saving and exiting. That can save you some time on efficiency for running. But considering you have an act boss right at the bottom, let's say you have a little bit higher players count, take out Mephisto, drop in 5-6 items every single time. Most people would generally go that route instead of teleporting around or running around, possibly facing these dolls here in the Durance of Fate. You're probably better off just skipping right to the bottom, going right after Mephisto, and maybe if you want to add a little bit more to it, take out the council while you're down there as well. Now we're finally moving on from Act 3. Thank goodness. We're moving on to Act 4, the act that only got halfway done by the developers. And the place we're talking about here is actually the Plains of Despair. Now, once again, let me know in the comments if you see a trend here, but there's one of those monster types that, similar to the Act 3, that you definitely don't want to go after, and that is these glomes. Now, it's the exact same reason as before, that lightning damage absolutely does nuke you. And a lot of times, you're probably just going to be better off going after other areas. That's why later on in Act 4, of course, people head right out to the Chaos Sanctuary. You can go ahead, take out all the monsters in there, get a ton of experience. That's actually an 85 area, so you can find every single unique in the game there from the champions and elites and such, unlike the Plains of Despair. And then you have Diablo at the end as well, guaranteeing to give you experience, even if you're high level, since he is such a high level himself. Also, Diablo has great drop odds for things like Shaco and stuff like that. So really, just kind of skipping definitely the Plains of Despair, heading right to the Chaos Sanctuary is probably going to be a better bet. Now on to Act 5, and we're going to be moving into some other areas that aren't just glomes and dolls. You're actually getting another monster type that is incredibly annoying. And the first one I'm going to talk about is actually those red portals when you get out into like the frigid highlands. One's called, and don't roast me too bad on the actual pronunciation here, but Pit of Acheron, I guess. I'm looking at it right here. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Abaddon. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it, I suppose. But both of these things absolutely suck. Now, first off, you don't know exactly where they're going to be. So let's say you did want to go out and farm these things. Well, you kind of got to go out to whichever waypoint for whichever portal you're trying to get to, teleport around, and spend a ton of time trying to find it. Now, once you're there, you get an area that's really not that large. So you're going to go through and clear it out anyways, and then have to save and exit. So it's not really an efficient area to get to or to farm. And then once you're there, it's incredibly annoying. Maybe if it had everything else going for it, yeah. But considering once you get down there, they have these, they called hell witches in this area, I think. Some other areas they're called succubi. For whatever reason, they absolutely deal a ton of damage with the little red balls. They can cast little curses on you and stuff. And then another monster type that is incredibly annoying for me, it's not the end of the world, but considering I already don't like this area, you got these hell doom lords or whatever they're called. They're like, I don't know, giant cows that have a bunch of axes or something. They can get super fast, especially if they got the extra fast mod. They could be mighted up too. They can really hit you dang hard. They also have a ton of health, so unless you have a really powerful character, you don't rip them out instantly. Now, they did upgrade these in the standard sense to an 85 area, meaning any unique could drop from this area even when they're not terrorized. But really, just in my opinion, just steer clear of these areas. There's not a lot of reason to come out here. Next up, there's only one reason to come to this particular area in each difficulty, and that is to get Anya. And that is just steer clear of the frozen river. Now, sometimes you get monster types that aren't too bad, but you get one of those two pesky ones that'll absolutely nuke you, and that is down here in the frozen river, you can get souls. Now, this is similar, kind of the same thing I referred to earlier as glomes. It just kind of depends on the area, but they both do that zappy lightning damage that has that huge range. So if several of them hit you at once, it's guaranteed one of them is going to hit you for an absolute metric ass ton. These monsters, it's no joke, are the bane of a lot of characters' existence. It's so hard to get away from. Even if you're teleporting through with an incredibly high FCR, sometimes they can still catch you. So, in my opinion, there's almost no reason to go farm this area ever. Now, the next one, I know I'm going to get pushback. Some people absolutely love this area, but I really don't like it that much. I actually did it for a set of runs a few months ago. Sometimes I do things just for the content. I do it just for y'all. But I really dislike running the World Stone Keep. Now, I'm not talking about going down and doing Bale waves and taking out Bale. I'm not talking about standard Bale runs. I'm talking about actually running the World Stone Keep. Now, the reason I hate it is because so many monsters in there are incredibly powerful, really. You can get levels with those souls down there. You can get all the different types of like witches, I suppose, whichever they're called in that area. You can get those Doom Lords or Hell Lords or whatever they're called, the super fast ones with the giant axes that can chop you down. Just a ton of different monsters that really give you a bad time. Now, it does kind of have a lot going for it, but it's only if you're like the most powerful characters in the game, essentially. Even having one of the most powerful characters in the game, I kind of died a few different times just because I don't want to be that sweaty when I'm out there farming. But the area is absolutely huge. The density is pretty dang good, and even when not terrorized, it is an 85 area, so you can find all of the rarest uniques in the entire game. And of course, after you farm that whole thing, you can get down to an area that, I mean, I guess online when you're trying to get experience anyways with a full party, I don't mind going to, I suppose. But really, for the most part, I completely steer clear of farming the World Stone Keep. Now, of course, I was being a little bit hyperbolic, maybe exaggerating slightly with the title and the general premise of the video, but really, these are areas that I can't stand farming, and I really, really hate to go. Let me know down in the comments areas that you absolutely despise going out and farm, you avoid at all costs. Don't forget like button and subscribe. But before you go, peace out and keep slaying.